You come from a run?
That is correct. This morning I had a nice little trot in the desert with a friend that I'm helping surviving I hope he will survive 50-kilometer race in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Wow. How many kilometers did you do today?
16 kilometers today, 2 hours.
In the desert?
In the desert.
Running?
Up and down
dunes.
Yes.
Wow. What time?
We started 6 o'clock, finished 8-ish, and now recovering.
Today I look at the watch at 5:30. I'm like, should I go for a walk or a jog today? And like, I have a training at 2 o'clock. No, I'll pass. So like, wow. So what got you into running? Because I know you run like these long distances, like 50, 70 kilometers.
That is correct. Yes.
What got you into this?
It's I guess a funny story in a way. A couple of years ago, I had a car accident. It was back in 2004, and since then I actually had back trouble.
Okay.
Later on, it showed that I had 4 protruding discs and 1 slip disc.
Wow.
That was the reason why I had back trouble. Especially the slipped or herniated disc.
Okay.
That was ruptured, and it gave me some trouble over the years, where I would have back pain from time to time. But it culminated in 2015. I just couldn't stand anymore. Stand upright. I couldn't move.
Because of the accident that you had before.
Exactly.
Okay.
I had been recommended to do a microdiscectomy to clean up the disc and suck out whatever was seeping out from the disc. But I had postponed it, or I thought that I would never need a back surgery.
Okay.
So I tried to survive without it until 2015.
Then you couldn't?
Then I just couldn't anymore.
Okay.
Because the time between each time my back would seize up and I would have like sharp needles up and down both my legs, especially the left, I became shorter between each time that happened. And I couldn't go to the toilet by myself. My wife had to help me.
Okay.
So the only relief I had was laying down on my bed with the legs up against the wall. That was the only relief I had. So I decided to do that microdiscectomy surgery in October 2015. And my doctors at that time told me, Ole, you will not be able to run again. So just be prepared that you cannot run. And you should not work in fitness because it's too strenuous for you.
This was before the surgery or after the surgery?
This was before the surgery.
Okay.
So just be aware of those things, that you may need to reschool yourself to do something less strenuous and do something less hard on your body. No running, no fitness. You cannot, in fact, lift more than 10 kgs. That's not safe for the other discs. At that time, my daughter, she was 3 years old, 12 kgs already. So I was thinking, lying there in my bed, waking up from my surgery, thinking about all these things. Not being able to lift my daughter, who is 12 kg, 3 years, not being able to run. I had actually told my surgeons that I had already planned on running a 257-kilometer run in Sahara at that point.
Wow.
Anyways.
Tough times.
Yeah, you can say that. So when they told me that I cannot run, I decided, F that, I'm going to do it. To that story, when I did a rehab a couple of weeks later, and coming back to work as recreation manager at a 5-star hotel, the first day back, I was basically being told, we don't need you anymore. You cannot work in fitness. It's not safe for you. We're going to let you go. And then I really got angry. First it was like being, losing your job, not being able to do what you love, fitness. And then it felt like someone pulled the ground from under me. And I really got angry, and I thought that, I think that is the fuel that really got me going. I'm going to show them I can run 257 kilometers in Sahara. So I did it.
Wow. And after how long from the rehab? Like
Good
after
question.
a year, after 6 months?
So the rehab lasted from October to December, so about 3 months. Then I was had a small jog 500 meters on the beach with my 3-year-old little daughter.
Okay.
And I was thinking, if I can jog 500 meters on beach,
Should
maybe I can do 1,000 meter. So I checked out 500, it went well, I didn't have any trouble with my back. I did 1,000 the next day, still no problem with my back. Then I increased daily, so from January 3, 2016 until I was standing on the start line in Sahara, it took me 9 weeks to build up to 32 kilometers straight. To prepare, yes.
30 kilometers straight.
Yes, so the longest one I had in those 9 weeks was 32 kilometers.
Okay, let me ask you something, like, how old were you at that time?
I was 41 years old.
Okay, and no pain whatsoever since the surgery till now?
Not with my back.
With your back?
Toes, I lost a few toenails along the road in that race.
In that race?
I lost all my 10 toenails by day number 4.
Oh.
That was more painful than, well, that was painful.
But back, no issues with the back. So the surgery, just from a medical perspective, the surgery went well.
Yeah.
And your willpower superseded anything else.
Yes. The thing is, sometimes I believe that when we are faced with what can seem insurmountable obstacles, we can either lay down and die, or accept it and try to overcome it. Having my doctors telling me that I cannot run and being laid off work, it was just like, I'm going to show them wrong. And I use that as a fuel for my determination and willingness to suffer through the rehab, which wasn't really suffering. It was just using a method every single day to get a little bit better every single day. Stronger back, stronger core, being able to build up stamina in terms of walking on my feet, jogging slowly. And using the process of sound science to get fitter, I guess.
That's really inspiring, honestly. I mean, one time, I always had a problem with my lower back, just like bad lifestyle, it's just nothing really serious. So I made an X-ray. They told me it's a spasm in your lower left back or something like that. But I had like few opinions, and like one of them was, you can't forget about playing football, forget about running or these things that are aggressive.
Yeah.
This was also for me like I think 2015.
Okay.
But I mean, I still have, but now let's say with my exercises, I'm doing the right exercise for the back to strength, because I think part of the body physically, one of the lowest, if not the lowest, if not the weakest, is the lower back.
Can be, yes.
People just bad movements and the wrong way to grab something from the floor. Absolutely. And sitting in the desks, in the cars, in the offices. But besides that, I mean, these races, how many hours do you guys run?
Well, it depends on the race that we're preparing for, but let's say in that, I've done MDS 2 times, because the Marathon des Sables,
okay.
the race that I did the first time after 6 months after my surgery.
Where, sorry, again?
Marathon des Sables in Morocco, in Sahara Desert.
Yes. Okay.
So the long stage, you have 5-6 stages. The long stage is on day number 4.
Day number 4.
Okay. And that's normally around 80 kilometers or something like that.
80 kilometers. Non-stop.
Yeah, well, yes, for me it was non-stop. You have 34 hours to complete it. So for some people, they get to checkpoint number 5, 50 kilometers, they rest, and then they go on the next day.
Okay.
I decided I wanted to go straight through. And because of the 10 toenails I had already lost, it took me a long time. It took me 19 hours to do it.
19 hours to do it.
Yeah. So So those 19 hours were in excruciating pain, most of it. So I knew I could do it faster when I came back home. So I spent the year getting better and getting stronger. I went back in 2018, and now my goal was to be top 100 because I just thought I could. And I wanted to really make sure and prove the naysayers wrong, that it wasn't just a fluke or a luck. So I went there again, and then again, the long stage is 80 kilometers.
80 kilometers.
But now I did it in, I think, 12 hours. So
It's
that's
19 into 12 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the first time I went there, I did the whole 250 kilometers in 44 and a half hours.
Okay.
Second time I went there, I did it in 30 hours. So it's a 14, 15 hour improvement. And that is because I was more run ready, I didn't have trouble with my toes.
Okay.
Back was, of course, okay.
So, when you're doing these races, what motivates you while you're doing them? What motivates you to go and compete now? What is it? Is it just you love running? Is it, what is about it that keeps Oli interested?
When people tell you that you cannot do something, and then you find out that actually you can, that is still a big factor for me.
Till now, in every race.
Even going out and training this morning, like the 2-hour run I had with, 15 kilometers, so 16, it's just feeling I feel privileged to be fit and healthy enough to do it. And I also think that when we are, I told you before, when we are up against obstacles that are really, really hard to come over or overcome, then you become passionate about something, and that has the running part of my life has become a big passion.
It's a big passion for me. They say that humans in nature, they only use, I don't know, like 20-30% of their maximum until put in a situation when that's really, like, let's say, challenging. Then they start doing more and more and more.
Yeah.
This is what I tell my kids. Like, they tell me they're tired after playing football or doing one of these classes. I tell them, when you say you're tired, you still have that extra energy. You're just not, you're not used to this phase yet.
Yeah.
Like when someone starts on the treadmill,
Yes.
At the beginning, when their heart rate is, let's say, 100, they start feeling 120, and then it takes them longer time, to get tired and exhausted, and it's just a program, it's just a process to go on. So what would you, let's say, a lot of people, I always, like when I started my journey 4 or 5 years ago, and people ask me now, Sam, why do you train 6 times a week? Earlier, I used to dislike going to the gym. And I think part of it was, let's say, like the knowledge and the information that was sort of given to us, that you should go to the gym 2-3 times a week. In a way, it just creates that, you're not familiar with. And I changed my mindset to accept that training is part of your life. Like how you drink and you eat and you sleep. It just should be part of your lifestyle. I think when we believe that, it becomes less of an obstacle, that, I have to go to my morning run. My gym is today at 4 o'clock. I have this tough boot camp that I have to go to. And it's, we're human beings. We have this fear and this, people don't adapt to change easily.
Yes.
This is my thought process on it, for people who just are a bit scared or intimidated to go to the gym and train with others. So what's your thoughts?
You are saying many of the same thoughts that I have about fitness and staying healthy. You said something about mindset. Remember, 200, 300 years ago, we all moved our bodies more. It was part of everyday life. We were stronger.
Correct.
Now we are seated most of our lives. We get back pain because we don't have the tools to get healthy. but we are so comfortable being comfortable.
Yes, exactly.
And that is it's so bad for society as a whole, and each and every one suffers more. They complain about the back pain, but the easy fix is the pill.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the real fix is to get moving. If you move your body, get a better and stronger body, you will move better, you will live better. In fact, it is the cheapest health insurance there is. And that is my mindset. It's so easy to get up. If you cannot run, walk. And walking get the blood flowing. And everybody can do a push-up, maybe not on the floor, but you can do a push-up up against the wall. Get a little bit of muscle toning, burn some extra calories. Many hundred years ago, we were out, fending for ourselves to get food and nutrition and so forth. And it's, for me, fitness is treating yourself well first, and then you go on with the day for others. So get up early, you do your run, you do your exercise, you do your boot camp. And afterwards, you please others in a work setting where you have a job, or you please some clients, or
you work on yourself first.
Exactly.
Because if you are not in good shape, if you're collapsed, the whole world around you is going to be collapsed.
Absolutely.
And we're not because you guys are into these, let's say, insane,
extreme
runners, but. We're not telling people to do that at the beginning, or even, if you enjoy running, then do that.
Yeah.
But you don't need, for instance, for me, my goal was to cut down on the fat.
Yeah.
So I went into, let's say, the treadmill, but on an incline, 45 minutes, empty stomach, to get, and it worked magic for me.
Yeah.
Okay, now I want to get back into, let's say, I play football once a week, but that's for sure not enough. But I go on to, I wasn't always able to do these even 5 kilometers or 2 kilometers, 10, because I'm not trained for that. I'll go for a run around.
But that's a process, you see.
But here is the key. People are not patient.
No.
Like when I tell myself, just keep on, believe in the process. Sometimes I'm not patient.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say that it's a process.
It is.
But people are not patient.
You have to enjoy the process. The first day you go out and you run 3 kilometers, you haven't run since you were, in kindergarten. It's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. You don't want to do it again in another week, maybe never. But it's the process. Then you shorten the distance to 1 kilometer. It's okay, but enjoy the process. The thing is, we live in a society where quick fixes is everywhere, and that is, I think, in one way is good, and in many other ways is bad. You have to understand that if you want to get stronger, if you want to get richer, if you want to get better at anything, it's a process. You cannot just sit on your sofa and expect a quick pill and then you lose your fat. You have to work for it.
You have to work for it. No pain, no gain.
Yes. And for those, you mentioned something, the extreme running part. If you don't enjoy running at this point in time, but you want to do something with your health, a walk or a jog is one way to get there. If you are interested in getting into extreme running or marathon running, there is a process to that too. Enjoying the weekly mileage and getting better and better is absolutely something that you need to embrace in a way.
Exactly. For me, my challenge with running is, even though if I have music or whatever, I just get bored. That's for me the challenge, because I'm always in my head, So for me, running, that's my challenge in running. Unless I'm doing it with somebody, like when I went hiking the other day, because you're talking, you're chatting, you're walking, you're stopping, you're going up, you're going down. So there is for me, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Everyone is different,
Yes.
I think also in these races that you guys do, you're not allowed to have any...
Some races
are not allowed.
Exactly.
The cycling, I think, once. You're not to have anything from the outside to Is that correct?
That certain races, that is correct.
I
Yes.
can't even imagine that. So it's, if someone is fortunate to have a fitness partner, a running partner, whatever it is, then that's, I think, a fantastic thing. But if you don't, that shouldn't stop you.
No.
You should, because people always wait for somebody. They want to check this restaurant. They want to do it with somebody. They want to go to visit this place. We have had a hard time being with our own. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, like when you do that, it gives you that sort of clarity, that sort of, I don't know, peacefulness. When you're doing these long runs.
Absolutely. It's when you're, for example, the race in Sahara, you are stripped from all luxuries. You just have your backpack with the food and the clothes that you need for 1 week, 10 days. The only thing that you get is water. Everything else is just you and the elements. I have stopped bringing music to these events because I want to be. It's almost like getting into, not a trance, but it's a meditative state. And I feel good being just me, listening to my own breathing, going over, am my toes okay, am my knees okay, am my back okay, and then how is my pace, just feeling.
You're connecting with yourself in a way.
Yeah, it's
and you're experiencing it, because when we put this music or these external things, we are sort of, it's like they say when you want to watch TV or when you want to have a meal, don't have anything that sort of takes away from that joy. Don't speak on the phone and have lunch. You want to have lunch, enjoy the lunch.
Yeah.
You want to have TV, don't have the computer next to you and send emails while you're watching, live that moment.
Yeah.
I want to touch on these training that you guys are doing in the desert, that is teaching people how to survive in the desert.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So many people have been road running, and I think people are getting bored of running up and down streets, seeing some buildings, seeing some other buildings, and then up and down some streets, and waiting for
I'm one of them.
waiting for the red light to turn green, right? So there's a big trend over the past few years going either into the desert or going trail running.
Okay.
So what I do is I take some of these people that are many whom I've trained, personal training to get stronger, lose fat and so forth, and encourage them to join us for desert runs. So sometimes I take them on a Friday for a 10-kilometer run, teaching them the technique of the running on sand dunes, what you need to think of in terms of water, about nutrition and so forth, and then we build on the distance, getting to 25-30k as well.
Okay.
Then what I encourage them to is then to join me on the ultra endurance camps, which I have every 3 weeks or so, where we would camp on a Friday evening, Friday afternoon. We go for 20-30 kilometer run.
Okay.
We camp under the stars, no tents,
Nice.
and next morning we run again. So in a Friday Saturday 12-hour 18-hour period, we cover 50 to 70 kilometers.
Wow.
So then I teach them about the nutrition, about the mindset. The mindset is the most important, yes. Remember this, no matter where you are in life, if you suffer, someone else always suffer more. And then just go on with it. There are so many variables in life. The most important variable is your brain. If you have a good mindset, positive mindset, you think that you can rather than I can't, you set yourself up for so many more possibilities.
Absolutely.
And possibilities are opportunities laid out for you to explore. That's so true.
How many people usually come with you to these, let's say, surviving in the desert?
Yes.
And are they, could a beginner come with you? Or it's tough for a beginner?
I would, normally, I say if you cannot run 15 kilometers straight,
Non-stop.
on flats, It can be slow, but you have to be moving flat.
Okay.
You are not ready for the endurance camps.
And how many people go for these camps?
Anything between 6 and I max it at 10. I don't want more than 10 because we have different abilities, and I want to make sure that I'm with the faster ones to teach them, and I want to be with the slower ones, so I keep running between. Yes.
Back and forth.
So I don't want more than 10.
Okay. And are these? I mean, do people enjoy this? I mean, are they going for the challenge? Are they going because they want to see how to survive if they're lost somewhere? What are the, let's say, reasons that people go to? I know they're different, but I just want to.
So some have certain races that they want to complete, and then they need a training for it. They don't know how to do it, so I'm a coach. I coach them.
Okay.
2, they just like to be outdoors and run instead of running in the city. So that's 2 who are always coming back. And then you have the occasional person who join just to get a different experience. But I have, out of all the camps that I've had, I think 5 are repeats all the time, like each camp. And then you have 3, 4, 5 that are coming once sporadically, and once in a while, one new one. And
okay.
Yes.
And everyone is loving it.
They seem to be. Well,
I mean, I'm sure it's tiring, exhausting, and all that, but
they love when it's finished. Everybody,
absolutely.
Everybody loves, and then they look back at the accomplishments. There's a gentleman who joined me 3 weeks ago. He had never done more than a couple of marathons and flat, so he has never run any hills. He joined us for 55 kilometers over 2 mountains, 2,600 meters of elevation, 55 kilometers.
Wow.
So it's the hardest that he's ever done, but he's pleased with himself. So now he is now getting into trail running.
Okay. What would you say, like from a coach perspective, from someone experienced as you, what would be your advice to people who, let's say, haven't done any training in their life? What would you tell these people? How could you motivate them? How could you have them started? Because I know sometimes the beginning is the toughest point, when you just put that first step. The people, for instance, that have different, lifestyles, chilled lifestyle, or just enjoy sitting. And in a way, as you said earlier, back 100 to 100 years, we used to be outdoors. Now we're more in our offices, in our cars, in our, sitting here and having this. How would you change? How would you help these people? What would you say to them? What would be your?
Okay, so it's a good question, because there are many people with different obstacles. Now, the first thing first is just commit. You just need to commit. Have the clothes and everything ready. Don't think about it, and do it the first thing in the morning. So if it's hard from Sunday to Thursday here in this part of the world, if it's hard to get up early, do it on Friday or Saturday. And do it the first thing in the morning, and go out and just go for a walk. If you need to, you find a training buddy and you go for a walk together. Doing these kind of things or starting off by yourself can be a bit of a daunting task. But once you have a buddy with you, it could be your spouse, it could be your brother, it could be your kids, and going out and doing something together, it's just committing and sticking to the commitments. Start slow, start little, 15 minutes can be enough, but start. And you will see that when you get more oxygen in your brain, when you are out walking, jogging, whatever it is that you do, you will feel better and you will be better. A fit person, even if it's slightly fitter than yesterday, you will feel so much good, so much better than the day before yesterday.
But some people get scared when they train the first time and they start feeling dizzy, and then they say, like, I trained one of my friends, like, I don't know, years ago, and it was his first session maybe in his life, and I took it easy on him. But then he started, and I do that sometimes when I stop training for a while and I get into training, start feeling dizzy. But now I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I relax a bit, I control my breathing, I have a few sips of water, but I make sure, let's say, I eat before I train, like 1 or 2 hours before. So, but some people get scared from this experience, let's say, like throwing up or let's say, like getting dizzy. And so, how can we get them?
Start slow. Listen, if you throw up before if you throw up because you have a hard session, it can happen. It shouldn't happen, but it can happen. That normally means that you started without the warm-up and you started too hard. You did exercises that you're not prepared for. If you start with a walk, getting the heart rate slowly increases, getting it up, and you finish at 15 minutes and you're done and you have some light stretches, you have done more than what you did yesterday. And then you build on it. However, if you really are untrained, uncomfortable doing it by yourself, hire a coach, hire a buddy, get in touch with someone who can show you the way so you don't have to suffer.
I understand. It sounds like a great. I mean, I always looked for somebody like that, but then in the beginning when I didn't find, I started doing it myself.
Yeah.
I used to be able to do just one round around the park.
Yeah.
Then every day I started increasing that till I managed to do, let's say, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 rounds around the park. It took some time, but every day, like I pushed myself a little bit more. And there are these days also when you don't feel like training. You don't feel like I push myself even when I don't want to. But here is a question for you as a professional coach. Do you tell these people, okay, if you're not in the mood, do you tell them, okay, don't train if you don't want to train? Like, do we force training for people?
I wouldn't say force. I encourage them to do, even though they are tired. Because in the beginning, when people are starting off, they do not know the difference between being tired and being lazy. And there is a difference.
Absolutely.
Being tired and being lazy, it's very often, it's normal for people who have been lazy for a long time to feel extra tired when they really have to do something. Compared to someone who is running 5-6 days a week or exercising, if you then feel tired once, it's okay to skip one, but now you're used to it, right?
Yeah.
But if you are new, especially the first 3-4 weeks, there is, even when you're tired, even if you're lazy, go and do it.
Stay at it.
Because it takes 3-4 weeks to get to build a new habit and a positive habit. Change one from another. So the habit that you have is being lazy and doing nothing. Change it with being active.
I like that. Yeah.
You need 3-4 weeks.
You need time.
And it doesn't have to be every single day of the week, but it can be 3 days of moderate exercise, 1 or 2 with active recovery, like going into the pool and swimming a little bit. So you have 5 days of activity.